Rick Beato recently put out a video called It's Worse Than You Think, The Truth Behind Why New Artists Fail. And I watched it because this is something that Rick and I used to actually talk about years ago when we were working together. But I don't really agree with his theory. Now, I've been working in the music business for years as an artist, producer, mixer, engineer, studio owner, and I've got my own theories about why new artists fail. In his video, Rick is talking about the Matthew effect, also known as the Matthew principle, and it's named after a biblical passage from the Gospel of Matthew. It's also the idea behind the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, which is a book that was kind of life-changing for me. And it's basically the idea behind the phrase, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, or success breeds success, which is something that I personally experienced. I spent years busting my butt in the music business, but as soon as I had a couple hit songs that I worked on, my career became a lot easier, and I had people trying to hire me left and right, sometimes for music that I had no experience with in that genre, but they just wanted to hire me because I had been successful. What Rick says about the Matthew effect, I agree with. It is a real thing. Older, successful artists have been around longer, they have a lot of experience, they have money, and they were able to establish themselves before streaming became what it is today. It's a cumulative advantage, a head start, and that puts them way ahead of everyone else. So he's saying that's why new artists fail, but I think that's kind of ridiculous because there's been a lot of new artists that have come out in just the past few years that are doing really, really good. You may not have heard of them, and they may not be doing these kind of numbers, but is he saying that if you're not doing huge numbers like that, that you're a failure? I mean, what are you saying here? I mean, who's to say what failure is and what failure isn't, what success is, what success isn't? I mean, but anyway, it's not the main reason new artists fail. The real reason new artists fail is actually something Rick told me years ago, and that is, it's their own fault. They make bad decisions, which causes them to either not do the things that they need to do or just do the wrong things. But Rick's not going to say that in a video because he doesn't want to offend anyone. And I think that over the years, he's figured out that it's actually not their fault, but trying to explain it kind of makes it sound that way. But I'll tell you, I was certainly deeply offended and outraged when he said it to me because I'd spent most of my life up to that point being an artist, trying to get a record deal and failing, and it seemed like an attack on artists, and maybe me as well, because up to that point I'd done so many stupid things and made bad decisions that kind of kept me from having success. But over the next few years, I started mixing and producing full-time. Working on major label projects put me in the position of working with a multitude of artists, and having the success of the projects I was working on, and to some degree my career, dependent on the actions and decisions of the artists and the record labels. And while record labels were certainly guilty of sometimes fumbling a project or squashing something for business reasons or being soulless, musically ignorant jerks, the actual career-killing events, the things that completely altered the trajectory of an artist's career, was usually something that the artist did, like having a featured spot on a huge artist's current single and deciding that would be a great time to start a gun-running business, which got busted. Or getting a major label deal and advance and deciding that instead of buying equipment to upgrade your home studio, that you and your friends would go and try to steal a SSL mixing console from a big studio, which is not something you can just unplug and carry away, and it took them so long trying to get it out of the studio that they got caught. Or a group that had great support and enthusiasm from the record label, a single going up the charts, and random people in the media talking about them, and that's when they decided it would be the perfect time to switch managers, insist on renegotiating their contract and stirring things up with the label. Or just refusing to answer the phone when your A&R guy or the president of the label called because I still don't know why. Of course, these are extreme examples. Usually it was an accumulation of things that happened way before the artist got a record deal, or it was in that phase of their career where labels are starting to look at them, like being late for everything or not showing up for meetings at all, terrible communication skills, being unreliable and unpredictable, never following through with plans, not finishing songs, not understanding or even trying to understand the music business, which leads to bad decisions, being really weird, thick-headed, freaking out all the time, or just being difficult to work with. Now, I'm not saying that all artists are this way, but in my experience, the more talented someone is, the more these characteristics they have. And you want to know why? Well, it's because of something called the mojo principle, or the mojo effect, which is something I made up. And it refers to the concept that when we're all born, we're all given the same amount of mojo. And that mojo is more or less equally distributed in most people. So they're pretty good at basic math. They have acceptable social skills. They have enough musical talent to sing along with a song and have decent time management skills. What is known as executive function. But really talented people, they have all their mojo concentrated in one area, so they become great singers and musicians, inventors, brilliant mathematicians, scientists, actors, and movie directors.
Let's try that again.
And because we all started with the same amount of mojo, that means that these people are lacking mojo in other areas, so they really struggle with the things that most people have a pretty decent time dealing with. Like Einstein losing his train ticket and forgetting his home address. Beethoven was known to have a lot of idiosyncrasies. Or some of the really great artists that I worked with that were just so incredible, but they just always struggled with everything in their life except for making music. The mojo effect is on a spectrum, meaning that there's varying degrees of how much of it is concentrated in music or some other area. So while most artists are not at the extreme of like Beethoven or Einstein, it still means that they're behind your average person when it comes to practical life and being organized. And I think this right here is the main reason why new artists fail. I think it also explains why so often popular music is just generic and lame, because those artists are not the most musically talented because a lot of their mojo went into other areas, which means that they're going to return phone calls, emails, they're going to show up to meetings, they got a pretty good business sense, so they move up, while the true musical genius is at home trying to figure out how to send an MP3 through an email. Rick gives some advice and encouragement at the end of his video, which is really good, especially this.
You need to outwork other people.
Which to me is the main reason he's been successful, more so than the Matthew principle. I know. I was there in the early days of his producing career. Look how tired I am. When is this session gonna end? But in the end, even the best advice isn't gonna do you any good if you don't have your together. So, what do? Well, let me tell you what I did and still do to overcome my lack of mojo in certain areas. First off, I keep a lot of notes. I usually keep them in my pocket. Uh-oh. Oh, damn. I lost it again. Here's one. Okay, I got the Al Capone mix done. Call the merch guy. I was supposed to do that today. All right. I know this looks bad, but here's the thing. Even if you make notes and you lose them or you don't get all of them done, if it gets you a little further ahead, it gets you a little bit more productive, 10% more productive, that's a huge difference over time. And speaking of percentages, there's the 1% rule. Now, I think everybody's always thinking that you have to have these big strides every single day. I've never been able to do that because I have kind of a complicated life, and I still have a complicated life. There were times where I couldn't get a lot of things done. So I decided that no matter what was going on, I would at least do one small thing every single day for my career and my goals. So while everybody's running around being the rabbit, they're running fast and like, oh, look at me, I'm over there. I'm the turtle. Every day, one thing. And let me tell you, over time, that'll beat out all these other people running around, making a big scene and talking and whatever. Just keep moving ahead. Slow motion is better than no motion. Don't despair when you make mistakes. Most of the people around you aren't going to care or notice as much as you do. And every mistake you make is another point of knowledge that you can learn from. Let's say you make 5 mistakes for everything that you get right, and you just made a couple mistakes recently. That means you've only got 3 more to go till you get it right, and that one thing could be life-changing. Surround yourself with the right people, or another way I like to say it is, you want to be the dumbest, least talented, laziest person in the room. Do this enough, and it will raise you up. I actually made a video about this and how it was the most important thing I did for my career and my life, besides my last bit of advice, which is don't stop. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment. And if you're serious about doing music for the long haul, I've got other videos like this and more coming. I also live stream every Wednesday and other random times when I just feel like doing it. I'm usually creating music and sometimes I'm mixing. I do Q&A with the chat and unplanned things happen here. So remember to hit the subscribe button. And in the meantime, be good to each other and always be unique.
Freaking out with Billy Hume.